Yes, everyone. How are we? Oh my God, it's been a while on it. I apologise. The international break is an absolute killer, and university is also an absolute killer. It's been a bit wild, but yeah, we're back now. Finally, some football to get into and chat about. There's been a bit in the press conference. It's quite interesting. Some heartbreaking stuff for me personally. With GEORGINIO Rutter, but we have a game to talk about. We'll get into that right now. Yeah, we'll start off with it. I'm not going to leave you guys waiting. It's good to hear back from Daniel Farke. It's good to hear Leeds is back. It's good to know football's back and we can continue our journey to attempt to get back to the Premier League. But big blow in the interview with GEORGINIO Rutter. Look, I know football's like this. You can never have nice things. Jet Spence is back, which is brilliant. I go out and say he's nowhere near starting. Just given the fact that he's just come back into team training, having been out for months. To come back and start is just not realistic at this point. So he won't be there, I don't think. But there's potential of him being on the bench, of course. But look, I'm not going to hold anything on that. Let him get fit, let him get ready. And then when it comes into December, when we have a lot of games, get him ready for then. Give him a week or two to properly get into it, and then he can be ready and fully ready to go in the middle of December when we have a game, 2 games every week. So, yeah, good to see him back. These are the type of players you need in your squad. These are the type of players that you need if you're serious of going up. These are the type of players that can change and help massively in a season in many ways. Just the dynamic, the way in which he plays and how that will massively help our attacking output, defensively, recovery speed. Huge signing. However, got him back. Joffy's back in training. A few others fine. Sam Byron, Pascal Strauch's recovering well, and he's also slightly in contention, which is why footballers are made different. And he's usually a while. Not this guy, not the technology and the medicine they have in football these days. But yeah, good to see. Really good to see. But anyway, GEORGINIO Rutter is injured. Or is a major doubt for the game. Now, it's so frustrating when you have a player that has been not necessarily maybe the most clinical player in the side, not even necessarily the most involved in terms of final output. But this guy created endless chances for Leeds. And forget, right, just for 1 second, forget about the stats and the chances created. Just look at the player and what he does when he plays for Leeds. Not only does he get the chances and creates them, but before that, the way he drives the team up the pitch, he's always available in tight areas. The way he can get around being pressed, he's got 3 or 4 guys around him. He'll just knock it past them. He'll just run it through them. He's that type of player. We don't have anyone in the Championship. No one does that's like that. He's so unique in this league, and it's frustrating that he might not be here. And again, an injury picked up on international duty, which is so frustrating with this international duty. Coming back to bite us like it seems to do every year. But we don't know how bad it is. He says a major doubt, so he's not 100% out. Hopefully he passes the medical tests. If he doesn't, annoying. But, and here we go. Who's going to replace him? Who's going to come in for GEORGINIO Rutter? The player, for me, he's been probably the best player this season. Probably had the highest peak in terms of performance this season for sure. There's probably been more consistent performance, but in terms of peak and talent this season that we've seen from a player, he's by far the top. But yeah, how do you replace him? There's a lot of conversation about this online, and it's interesting, obviously, because it's good to talk about this, and it's good that we have options. I think as a fan base, and this is football in general, this is life in general, people like to... We have so much good things in this side, a wealth of players that can do good things, and it gets negative. You know what I mean? When a player's out like this, it turns to a negative, and it's like, oh, we don't want him. No, he's not it. The fact of the matter is, any player that can replace GEORGINIO Rutter in our squad is good enough at this level to replace GEORGINIO Rutter. The reason they're not starting is because they are not as good as GEORGINIO Rutter, because most people, but all people in this league are not. But to talk about them and what you could do, I think Daniel Farke and I, again, marrying this into the fact that it's wild that some of the players have not had training. They'll have one recovery session between international football and football. Is a joke. It's just in terms of performance and being around that is not fair. I don't care what people say about, oh, you've got all these players. It doesn't matter. The game should be equal. You should have equal opportunity to play each other in the same league. And the fact that we've had all these internationals and 4 or 5 of them won't have a single training session, the schedule there is ridiculous. We should not be on the Friday. That's ridiculous. But whatever. That's football. It's not going to change, is it? But yeah, having said that, look at some of the players and what's going to happen and what's happening with Jorginho out. Jorginho playing the 9, obviously. And there's talk of Joel Perreault going into the 9 role and maybe like a Somerville dropping into the 10 and maybe a Anthony or William Nunto coming in on the left. William Nunto, who's been scoring for Italy in the international break, doing well. Matteo Joseph been scoring for England as well, doing good. So that's good to see. Jen Anthony, good player, solid player at this level. Obviously, need to see more consistency from him. It's hard when you're not playing, but clearly has, like I said, the attributes to step in to the void and be an effective player in that position. And that's one thing. The only slight problem with that is, again, Daniel Farke, without the training, he doesn't have. Switching 3 players around for the sake of one might leave it quite difficult and confused in terms of roles of the players on the pitch. You need at least 2 full days of training sessions to understand the role you're having to play. If Joel Perreault's a 9 for Leeds United, hasn't happened. It's a completely new role. It'd be difficult for him to adjust to that. So I don't think that is feasible. And training is huge in football. You have to train. You can't just say, right, you go play the 9. What's the 9? You have to train. You have to practice it. You have to replicate it every single day for a few days. That's how it works. I don't think that'll happen, personally. It might do, and maybe they have been training. Joel Perreault's obviously not been international, so maybe he's worked with him with that. But he found out about Jorginho yesterday, so tough. But maybe, I don't know. But I don't think so. I think, personally, sensible option. This is going to get stick. I don't care. I don't care. Sensible option is not to change much around. I think Chris Somerville's impact this season, I know he played well against Cardiff when he played in the 10 role, but again, his role for the last months has been that left side midfielder, and that's where he's been effective. When you've not got Jorginho linking the play up, and then you take Somerville out of his comfortable position, kind of losing both of that. Where if you keep Somerville there, you still got that. You still know that's guaranteed impact, right? So I'd argue you keep him in, you keep Joel Perreault playing the role he played, you keep Dan James if he's ready to play on the right, and you bring in a striker. And obviously, we know who that is, as Patrick Bamford, right? Talk Matteo Joseph, and I like Matteo Joseph a lot. I did an entire video on him, and look, is such a frustrating injury Matteo Joseph had. Yeah, such a frustrating injury, let's be honest. But that's the game, that's the way it is. And look, and people talking about Patrick Bamford and he's scoring. GEORGINIO RUTTER scored 3 goals this season. Nothing to shout about. Our clinical players are the ones behind. Joel Perreault's on 6. I think some of us on, he's on 4 or 5. Dan James on 6 or 5. They're still playing, and that's what's important to me. Them 3 are still in the positions they are used to. You don't want to change the entire dynamic of the front 4 because you've got players playing in different positions, and it's a completely new role. It's completely different. You don't want to meddle with that. Change as little as possible. Change as little as possible. Because, again, you've not trained. You've not practiced. You have to practice to be good in a position. You can't just do it. The role is completely different. So they're still there. So if Jorginho wasn't to play, that's all right. We can get through that. Patrick Bamford understands the role. Look, maybe he's a completely different player to Jorginho, and maybe he will stay higher up. Maybe he'll tweak the roles a slight bit, like we did when Bamford comes on previously. But he understands that role more than Joel Perreault does at Leeds United because he's trained in that role. He's done that role. Look, yeah, we know the player Patrick Bamford is. You know what you'll get from him. I'm okay with that, personally. Look, and again, I'm seeing the interview stuff, the podcast. I enjoy it. I like any insight into a footballer, showing personality. People with some wild takes. Look, you don't agree with him, you don't like him, that's fine. I'm not bothered about that. It's the wild ones that take it very personally. That Patrick Bamford's talking. It's really weird. Personally, I don't agree with it. say what you want. I'm really not bothered. That's down to the club if they don't like it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I enjoy little things like I don't take them too seriously, to be honest. I just think it's a good laugh. Play having a chat. They're allowed to talk. Yeah, just be a bit sensible, you know what I mean? But it's what it is. But yeah, what do you guys think? I can imagine a lot of you think, you want to change 3 players around for the sake of one potential injury. I'm not. No, I'm not for me. Not for me. But he might do. I don't know. I've not been in training this week. I've not seen how the players are playing. I have no idea. So we'll see. But just do what we do. We keep the 10, the wingers the same, because they've done a very good job this season and they've contributed a lot to the goals. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Bamford's not fit enough. We don't know this either, So, be interesting. The squad's going to be interesting. The right back position as well, with Archie Gray coming back the midfield position, because obviously they've not trained. Ampadu hasn't trained. Rodon hasn't trained. Got to be really careful. Was Pascal Strout back? Probably not. But it's a lineup you can't predict, which I like. I like the mystery of it. Worrying for us because the team hasn't trained together. That's the biggest thing going into this game that worries me more than anything, to be honest. The fact that they haven't had the core players like Ampadu, Rodon, Dan James, a few of us as well, Willie Nonto, not being able to train with the squad. That'll go over people's heads, but that's wild. You're not training. How do you prepare for the game? Through video clips and just reading, you can't. That's ridiculous. Stupid decision from the EFL. But anyway, that's so boring, isn't it? Yeah, look. I'll back any decision. I think we have the players to beat Rotherham respectfully, regardless if we change it with Patrick Bamford up top, or we put Perot up top, or we completely change the middle 3. Whatever we do, we have the players. We have the players that can destroy any team in this league on the day. I'm not too bothered about that. Just a training thing then. I'll stop crying about that. All right, I'll stop crying. It's just not fair, is it? But anyway, yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Be nice in the comments, because it's my first video back. Don't be. You're allowed opinions, people. Peace.